Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Uma banner that'll be paired alongside the festival event, and that's going to be the banner coming with Symboli Rudolph as well as Gold City in their festival alt versions. And so like all my other videos covering the upcoming Umas, we'll go ahead and take a look at their stats, their skills, and whether or not they're going to be worth it to pull at this point in time with everything that we have coming up around them. So first we'll go ahead and take a look at Symboli Rudolph Festival here. And so as you can see, we have her pretty nice skin on her for an alt. And then when we come down to the stat bonuses, we're seeing a split of 3 here. I'm actually thinking her stat bonuses, I kind of like them quite a bit because you do have that speed and wit to make it a little bit easier to get those stats as high as possible. Speed being one that you want to max, and wit just being getting it as high as you can. But it has 14% stamina, which is not quite as good as a 20%. But not as bad as a 10% or even a 0%. So it can make her very, very easy to build depending on how you have your sparks there. So pretty nice on that. Although I do prefer to have some power stat bonuses because I feel like that's the harder one that you usually have to sacrifice because it's not very easy to build around unless you take a lot of power sparks. But overall, pretty good on the stat bonuses here. On the aptitudes, it's just like your normal Symboli Rudolph A on turf. A on medium and long, C on mile, and then when it comes to her strategy, she pretty much can do anything, but she's A in pace and late. Then we look at her unique, kind of comparing it to her the original arrows, whistles, and shadows disperse. Increased velocity with a blazing spirit when pressured by another runner in the front part of the pack on the final corner or later. And so when you look at what this is actually giving you, this is going to give us a 0.35 speed increase for 6 seconds, which is pretty nice, especially if it's like on a long race. And the only thing is someone has to be looking to overtake you, so you're going to want her closer to the front on this one, versus when you're using the original Symboli Rudolph, you're wanting her to be more towards the back because you want her in active passing to trigger her ult, which gives her a big speed boost. And when we kind of get into her skills here, you're going to kind of see that she is definitely built different in that aspect. So when we go down to the skills, you can see she has a Fall Runner. And the nice thing is not only does she have the green version Fall Runner here, she has the gold version of Fall Runner, which is Fall Frenzy. And so this one is basically going to give both speed and power up to 60 if you take this one. So that's a very, very nice bonus right there. Negative being it's fall, so you pretty much only can use this during champions meetings during the fall time. So we do have one. The current champions meeting, Libra Cup, is going to be in the fall. So as you'll see here, she's pretty much built for Libra Cup. As we get into the rest of this, she has Inside Scoop, very, very strong skill on long. She has now Straight Descent is the only one here that I would say is bad on Libra Cup, but it is an Excel skill that you can kind of use for something outside of your longs, especially at miles, as we've seen with Virgo Cup. Pretty nice right there. Then you have Pace Tracer Straightaways, Calm and Collected, which is a Pace Chaser heal, and then you have that for the fall. And then when you go down here, you have Prepared to Pass and Pace Chaser Corners. So everything in this kit is built almost pretty much around her being a pace chaser versus the original being more of a late surger or even potentially end closer with how her stuff is set up. And with it being Fall Runner and having Inside Scoop, she really feels like she is built for the Kika Show / Libra Cup, which is what we're having coming up literally in a couple days. So if you want to build her really quick for Libra Cup, she's going to be a pretty good pickup. But outside of that, I see that she's not going to be all that valuable, especially with Fall Runner going to be falling off very soon here. We're going to be getting into the winter races, and then it's going to be winter, spring, summer, so it's going to be a long time until you can even take advantage of this green skill again. But other than that, she's a decent pace chaser here. Pretty strong on the alt. It's just going to be a little bit harder to trigger because it's required. It has a little bit harder conditions versus somebody like McQueen. If you've built a McQueen pace chaser like I have for the Libra Cup, hers activates super easily. You have no problems with that, and it's pretty much just as strong at continuing to keep her in that lead. Versus this one where she actively needs someone to be overtaking her to take advantage of it. So to me, not really a big pickup unless you're a very big fan of her. Although I would say I prefer the original over this one. So I already have the original, and so this one's an easy skip for me on her. But if we look at the other Uma paired on the banner, Gold City Festival. And she's going to be a little bit unique when we kind of look at her. So she has, in the stat bonuses, 8% in speed, 8% in power, and 14% in wit. Really like the kind of stat allocation here. So you're going to have no problem getting a decent amount of wit on her. A little bit into power, which is always nice, as well as speed. Although it's kind of a little bit tricky there, only being 8%. It really does. I don't see that being high enough to really buy you the ability to use one less card than what you normally have. Like I can get away with 20% sometimes, depending on my build, with only one speed card, especially if I'm going heavy on the wit side. But at 8%, I see you have to still have at least 2, potentially 3 if you don't have very, very strong speed cards. But you at least get a little bit extra power there, which is going to be nice because you're going to want to use stamina cards on her for sure on longer races. And then aptitude, same as the normal Gold City, A in turf, A in mile, B in medium, B in long, so you can effectively do anything with her. She also has F in short. If you really want to use her on short, that is possible. She can do all strategies because she's F in those as well. Gonna need a lot of sparks to do it, but she pretty much can do anything, but she is built around pace and late. And when we take a look at her unique here, increases the ability to break out of the pack when engaged in a challenge in the mid pack on a final corner. So that's going to be kind of key with hers, because one thing that's nice on hers is it does have an acceleration of 0.3, and it's on the final corner. Now, it's a very gambly skill, so this one is going to be looking like more like No Stopping Me, if you think about that, but No Stopping Me is a 0.4, kind of gambly in that same aspect, but it has even more conditions to it, where she has to be between 3rd and 6th place, and in the on the final corner. So depending on where the final corner is in terms of the late race, is the late race start on it, but also her being actively blocked on the side. But I could see this being something you pair. You have her and you have No Stopping Me on her, so now you have 2 different skills that can trigger accelerations there. It's just another gambler skill, and right now late surgers are big gamblers. So if you love the gamble skills, this is just another one right in your toolkit you could use on her. But that's not what I'm going to say about that's really unique on her. When you get into the rest of her skills, I mean, she has Late Surger Savvy, so she gets the green one there, Rainy Days, so this will be good for like upcoming Scorpio. Then Late Surger Corners built in, but and then 1.5 million CC, which is good. Slick Surge, which is another one of the gamble ones. It's the white version of On Your Left. And then Unyielding Spirit for miles. But the big one here that is kind of unique, although I don't see being very strong, is Battle for Nation. And the reason I'm saying it's kind of unique, she is the only Uma that has this gold skill at this point on even the Japanese version. She is the only one that can get the gold version of this. And so how it works, and this is, and if you used Opening Gambit on the other miles, you might already know, but it's a decrease acceleration in the early race, but you need an accumulated time. And I don't know, let me make sure I have, I don't know if it gets buffed or not in the future. But it needs an accumulated time of 3 seconds, greater than or equal to 33 seconds. You have to be on mile. And phase random equals 0, which means it has to be in the early race, which is a really good time for it to activate. But that 3 seconds accumulated time kind of screws you. And it's the same reason why early lead / taking the lead for frontrunners was originally very bad, because it had an accumulated time of 5 seconds. Now that that's been buffed, you're going to see your, because the biggest thing I see this debuffing is going to be your front runners, and especially your runaway front runner, in that originally when this came out, they only had access effectively to groundwork because early lead and taking the lead was pretty bad because it activated so late. And so this one was I could see having been a debuff to try and slow them down, and then early lead / taking the lead could re-speed them up. but it's so situational in that aspect that the only one I could see this really hurting and is going to be the runaway, because the runaway is still potentially going to be accelerating. By the time 3 seconds is gone by, you'll be able to slow them down, which then can give your other front runners, if you're doing a non-runaway, potential chance to catch up. So that's where I can really see this working. But there is one other strategy that is it's going to be down the road and kind of unique that I could see with her. And it's one I talked with people. I'm not going to do it. It's more just to kind of screw with people more than anything. But this skill could be very, very randomly, very, very strong if you pair it with the Inherit of the Future Gold Ship Summer. And just to kind of mention what Gold Ship Summer's alt does when you inherit it is in the second half of the race, it allows the activation of a random gold skill that she has, regardless of the conditions. And so what you could effectively do with that, if you put that alt on her and the only gold you have is battle formation, you could potentially randomly get this to activate right as the late race is starting, basically shutting down everybody else's acceleration, which could effectively hand you the win. But it's random. And so that randomness could, and now that also removes the conditions of miles. So you could do this on long, you could do it on medium, as well as short races, which I think short races would be the one where that strategy would be the most effective, because the randomness is much smaller because the track's so much smaller. So I thought I'd just bring that up as something, as an option in the future with Gold Ship to kind of just screw with people. I would not say that's a reason to pulver her, but it's just something funny that you could do, that you could have some crazy results if you do end up getting her. But other than that, I don't really consider it all that strong. That's a lot of talking about it for something that's really not going to be all that useful, especially right now. But it is she's going to be the only one that has it going into the future. This is not going to ever be on a support card or anything. And so that is Gold City Festival. Now, when it comes to this banner and whether or not you want to pull on it, one thing I do like about the event banners is they're always paired with 2 Umas. And the nice thing with those is you can pull on the banner, and when you get the first one, say you get your first one off that banner in 100 or 120 pulls, you don't feel as bad. You can continue all the way to pity to try and get the other one. So more ability to take advantage of the pity that you've built up, versus, hey, you do 50 to 100 pulls, you get your Uma, and you're done, which is nice. You save a bunch of pulls, but now you've built up pity that you really can't use on anything. Well, on this one, you can at least continue to work your way towards 200 to get 2 Umas, and potentially bring 1 to 4 or 5 stars, like what happened with me on Summer Maru Zensky, where I ended up getting her 5 stars because I pulled her 3 times in like the last 20 pulls. But when it comes to these, I do not consider either of them good enough to pull on it, so this is an easy skip, especially if you're needing Kita-san Black, which is coming very quickly. She's going to be the next banner after this one, because we have the festival cards here, which I'll cover tomorrow. And then after that, basically next week, we have Toshin Jordan with the Kita-san Black El Condor Plaza banner. If you don't have that, you should be saving everything for this banner. And then even if not, right after that, we have Major Odober, which is going to be a big pickup for your late surgers. Right after that, Christmas Ogre Cap, a very strong meta Uma if you like to play with the meta. And then right after that, if you really like Tamamo Cross, I know she's very popular. She's going to be also a very good Uma to pick up, just for the fact we will get free pulls on her, but I think about 40 to 50 from what I've seen. And so she will only cost, if you have to go all the way to pity, that 22,500 versus 30,000 pity because of the free pulls. Even if you're not going to pull on her and skip her, you always have a nice nature if you're going to wail out on something to try and MLB her for making you track. Or even the Machikani Fukukutaru speed support card. So a lot of big stuff coming up. This is kind of that big period of a lot of nice stuff to pick up. And so neither of these Umas here are meta coming out. So unless they're in Oshi, I would say you should definitely skip them and continue to save at this point. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.